My beloved soul, something has just shifted in the unseen realm, and you were not supposed to miss this moment. Stop everything for a second and listen carefully, because what is happening right now is not ordinary. This is not just another message. It is a final alert from heaven itself for April 30th, and it carries a weight that your spirit can already feel. There is a reason your attention was pulled here, a reason your heart feels slightly uneasy, a reason this message found you at this exact time. It is not coincidence. It is divine interruption. Right now, in this very moment, there is a sound echoing in the heavens that few can hear, but it is real. It is the sound of sorrow. Jesus is not silent. Jesus is crying. Not because he has lost control, not because heaven is in defeat, but because something precious was delayed, something that only you were meant to do today. There was a moment placed in your path, a quiet instruction, a gentle nudge, a whisper in your spirit, and it was ignored. Maybe it seemed small. Maybe it felt inconvenient. Maybe you thought, I'll do it later. But in the realm of the spirit, that moment carried eternal weight. You must understand this clearly. Heaven does not measure actions the way the world does. What seems insignificant to the human eye can carry the power to shift destinies. And today, there was a door, a very specific door that was waiting for you to open it. But hesitation stepped in. Delay took over. And now, something else has begun to move in that space. Feel this deeply. This is not meant to scare you, but to awaken you. Because while heaven is calling, something else is also watching. Behind the scenes of your life, where your eyes cannot see, movements are being made. Conversations are happening. Intentions are forming. There is a presence of betrayal stirring quietly, carefully, almost invisibly. Someone you would not immediately suspect is being influenced, and the timing of this is not random. And this is where the atmosphere changes. Because as this unseen shift began, a response was immediately released from heaven. Archangel Michael has not remained still. He has grown his sword, not in panic, not in confusion, but in authority. This is not just symbolic. It is a declaration that a spiritual battle has been activated concerning you. You are not alone in this moment. You are not unprotected. But you are being called to awareness. Why now? Why today? Because April 30th marks a spiritual checkpoint, a moment where decisions echo louder than usual, where obedience carries multiplied impact, and where delays can open doors that were never meant to be opened. This is why the urgency feels so intense. This is why this message is finding you before it's too late to respond. Listen closely, this is not the end of your story. This is the interruption before the turning point. Jesus is calling not with condemnation, but with urgency. His tears are not to shame you, they are to wake you up. Because what you do next matters more than what you missed. Something can still be shifted. Something can still be restored. But only if you recognize the moment you are standing in right now. So don't scroll away. Don't ignore this stirring in your spirit. Because what comes next will reveal what was missing, what must now be done before the winter clothed completely. There was a moment earlier today that did not look extraordinary on the surface, yet in the spiritual realm it carried the weight of an assignment specifically designed for you. It may have come as a quiet thought, a sudden urge to reach out to someone, a gentle push to pray, to forgive, to speak, or even to stop yourself from doing something you knew was not aligned. It was subtle, almost easy to overlook, and that is exactly how divine instructions often arrive. They do not force themselves upon you, they invite you. And today, that invitation was left unanswered. Heaven had been preparing that moment long before you even became aware of it. Every detail had been aligned with precision. The timing, the people involved, the emotions you felt. It was all orchestrated for a purpose that extended far beyond what you could see. But when hesitation stepped in, when the voice within you was quieted by distraction or doubt, something shifted. Not because you are rejected, but because the flow of obedience was interrupted. You must understand that in the spiritual realm, obedience is not just about action. It is about agreement. When you respond to a divine nudge, you come into alignment with heaven's plan, and that alignment releases movement, protection, and favor. But when that moment is delayed or ignored, it creates a pause, and in that pause, other forces look for opportunity. This is not to place fear in your heart, but to reveal the seriousness of what seemed like a small decision. What you may not have realized is that your response today was connected to someone else's breakthrough. There was a chain reaction attached to your obedience. A word you were meant to speak could have lifted someone out of confusion. A message you were meant to send could have interrupted someone's despair. A prayer you were meant to whisper could have blocked something forming in the unseen. But when that moment passed, the chain was interrupted, and now the atmosphere has shifted into a state of urgency. This is why there is a heaviness surrounding you right now that you cannot fully explain. It is not random. It is the echo of a moment that is still calling out for completion. Heaven is not silent about it. There is still a window open, but it is narrowing. And the longer the delay continues, the more complex the situation becomes behind the scenes. At the same time, something else has taken notice of this gap. Where obedience creates protection, delay can create exposure. The space that was meant to be covered by your action is now being observed by forces that operate in secrecy. This is where the sense of betrayal begins to take shape, not because you caused it, but because the timing created an opening that is now being used. You may begin to notice subtle shifts in behavior around you. Words that feel slightly off. Energy that feels unfamiliar. Situations that seem coincidental but carry an unusual weight. These are not things to panic over, but they are signals that something is unfolding beneath the surface. Discernment is being activated within you for a reason. And yet, even in this moment, there is still mercy. The fact that you are hearing this now means that heaven has not closed the door. The assignment may have been delayed, but it has not been erased. What was missed can still be addressed, but it requires immediate awareness and willingness to respond. Archangel Michael's presence is not just about defense. It is about buying time for you to realign. His sword being drawn is a sign that intervention has begun, holding back what could have advanced further. But this intervention is not meant to replace your role. It is meant to support it. You are still a key part of what must happen next. So pay attention to what begins to rise within you now. That same nudge may return, clearer this time, stronger, more urgent. Do not dismiss it again. Do not let logic or delay silence it. Because this is the moment where you step back into alignment, where what was paused begins to move again. The question is no longer what you missed. The question is what you will do now that you see it. Something is waiting for your response, and what comes next will reveal why Jesus is weeping over this moment. There is a deeper reason the heavens are trembling with sorrow right now, and it is not something distant or abstract. It is personal. It is connected to a moment that carried more meaning than you realized. Jesus is weeping not because you failed beyond repair, but because he sees the full picture. He sees what was meant to unfold, what was meant to be healed, what was meant to be restored through your obedience. And when that moment passed, it was not just an action that was delayed, it was a ripple that touched lives, hearts, and outcomes beyond your sight. Feel this truth clearly. His tears are not condemnation. They are love in its purest form. They are the expression of a heart that longs for you to step into your purpose fully, without hesitation, without fear, without delay. When Jesus sees you hold back, when he sees you silence the very instinct he placed within you, it grieves him, not because he is disappointed in you as a person, but because he knows how powerful you are when you say yes. There was someone connected to your assignment today, someone who needed that exact moment, that exact word, that exact act. You may not even know who they are, or how close they are to your life, but heaven knows. And when you hesitated, when you pushed the instruction aside, that person remained in a place they were meant to leave. This is why the weight feels heavier now. This is why the atmosphere feels charged. It is not just about you. It is about what flows through you. But listen carefully, because this is where hope begins to rise again. Even in this moment, Jesus is not turning away from you. He is drawing closer. His tears are not the end of the story. They are the signal that there is still time to respond. He is calling you again, not with anger, but with urgency wrapped in love. What was delayed can still be activated, but it requires your immediate attention. It requires you to stop, to listen, and to act without overthinking. Do you feel that stirring returning now? That same gentle but persistent pull? That is not your imagination. That is the echo of the assignment calling you back into alignment. This time, it may feel stronger, harder to ignore, because the moment has intensified. Heaven is amplifying the signal so you do not miss it again. And at the same time, understand this. While Jesus is calling you forward, something else is reacting to your delay. The atmosphere of hesitation has created a small opening, and within that opening, intentions are forming that were never meant to reach you. This is where the sense of betrayal becomes more than just a possibility. It becomes a movement. Quiet, subtle, hidden behind normal interactions, but real. Yet you are not left vulnerable. Archangel Michael stands in position, his sword drawn not only as a weapon, but as a barrier. What could have advanced unchecked is now being restrained. What could have reached you without resistance is now being held back. But this protection is working alongside your response, not in place of it. Your obedience goes the door that no force can reopen. So this is your moment of decision. Will you respond now, or will the delay continue? Because everything is watching is choice. Heaven is watching with hope. The unseen opposition is watching with intent. And your spirit is standing at the center, knowing exactly what needs to be done. Do not let fear complicate it. Do not let doubt delay it. The instruction you received was not confusing. It was clear, simple, and direct. Return to it. Act on it. Complete it. This is how the sorrow turns into joy. This is how the interruption becomes restoration. This is how the chain reaction begins to move again, affecting not only your life, but the life that was waiting on your obedience. Type "I respond now" in the comments if this message is speaking directly to your spirit. Blessing code 639 has just been released over your life. And as this moment opens before you, understand something powerful. When you choose to act, you are not just correcting a delay. You are stepping into a divine flow that multiplies beyond what you can imagine. Here is something you need to see clearly now, something that has been quietly forming while your attention was elsewhere. Betrayal does not always arrive with loud warning signs or obvious conflict. In fact, the most dangerous kind of betrayal is the one that grows in silence, hidden beneath normal conversations, familiar faces, and everyday interactions. It does not announce itself, it disguises itself. And right now, something like this is beginning to take shape behind your back. This is not meant to create fear within you, but awareness. Because what is hidden cannot be addressed unless it is first revealed. And heaven is not allowing you to walk blindly into something that has already begun to move. There is a reason this message is reaching you now, before things fully unfold. It is an act of protection, a divine warning that gives you the advantage. Someone in your environment, someone who appears normal, perhaps even supportive on the surface, is not fully aligned with your well-being. Their words may sound right, their presence may feel familiar, but beneath that surface there is a shift. It is subtle, almost undetectable unless you are paying attention with your spirit rather than just your eyes. This is why you may have felt something slightly off recently, even if you could not explain it. Pay attention to the small things. The way certain conversations leave you feeling drained instead of uplifted. The way certain words carry a hidden weight, as if they are planting doubt or confusion rather than clarity. The way certain actions do not match what is being said. These are not coincidences. They are signals. And your discernment is being activated so you can recognize what is real and what is not. Betrayal often begins with influence before it becomes action. It starts in thoughts, in whispers, in subtle shifts of intention. And if it is not discerned early, it can grow into something that affects your peace, your decisions, and your path. This is why the timing of this message is so critical. You are being shown what is forming before it fully manifests, giving you the power to respond differently. But here is what you must hold on to. Exposure is already in motion. What is hidden cannot remain hidden forever, especially when heaven has already marked it for revelation. The same light that is calling you back into alignment is also shining into the places where deception is trying to grow. Nothing escapes that light. Nothing remains covered when it is time for truth to come forward. This is why you must not react with panic or suspicion. Do not begin accusing or confronting based on emotion. That is not your role in this moment. Your role is to stay grounded, to stay aware, and to stay aligned. When you are aligned, you do not need to chase the truth. It comes to you. It reveals itself naturally, clearly, and without confusion. And as this process unfolds, Archangel Michael remains present, not only as a defender but as a watcher over truth. His sword is not just raised against attack. It is raised to cut through deception. What is false cannot stand in his presence. What is hidden begins to lose its cover. This means you are not in a position of weakness. You are in a position of preparation. What you do now determines how the situation unfolds. If you remain distracted, if you ignore the signals, you risk walking into something unprepared. But if you stay aware, if you listen to the stirring within you, if you realign with the instruction you were given, you shift the entire outcome. Because betrayal loses its power when it is seen before it strikes. And right now, you are being given that sight. There is a clarity beginning to form within you, even if it feels faint at first. Trust it. Do not dismiss it as overthinking or imagination. Your spirit recognizes what your mind is still trying to process. The more you quiet the noise around you, the clearer that recognition will become. This is not about isolating yourself from everyone. It is about becoming more intentional with who you trust, more aware of what you allow into your space, and more aligned with the voice that is guiding you from within. Something is being revealed slowly, carefully, but undeniably. And as it begins to surface, you will understand why this warning came when it did. Because what is about to unfold was never meant to catch you unprepared. Something powerful is happening in the unseen realm right now, and you are not being left alone in it. While the atmosphere has shifted and hidden intentions are beginning to form, there is also a divine force standing between you and what was meant to harm you. This is where the presence of Archangel Michael becomes more than just a symbol. It becomes a reality actively working on your behalf. When it was revealed that a delay had created a small opening, heaven did not hesitate. There was no confusion, no uncertainty. A command was released, and Archangel Michael responded immediately. His sword being drawn is not a reaction of fear, it is a declaration of authority. It means that a boundary hath been set. It means that what was trying to advance toward you is now being confronted before it can fully reach its intention. You must understand the weight of this moment. Archangel Michael does not draw his sword without purpose. His presence signals that something significant is being guarded, something valuable is being protected, and that something is you, your purpose, your peace, your path forward. This is not small. This is not random. This is a direct intervention in response to what has been unfolding around you. But there is something deeper you need to grasp. This protection is not passive. It is active, strategic, and precise. While you may not see it with your physical eyes, there are movements taking place that are blocking, redirecting, and restraining what was forming behind the scenes. Conversations that could have turned against you are being interrupted. Plans that could have advanced are being delayed. Intentions that were gaining momentum are now being exposed to resistance. And yet, even with this powerful protection in place, your role has not been removed. Archangel Michael stands as a defender, but you are still the one called to align. His sword creates space. It does not replace your obedience. It holds back what could have overtaken you too quickly, giving you time to step back into position. This is why the urgency remains. Because while protection is covering you, alignment is what completes the defense. Think of it this way: heaven has extended its hand toward you, not only to shield you, but to guide you back into the place where you were meant to stand. The moment you respond, the moment you act on what you were shown, the entire atmosphere begins to shift again. What was paused begins to move. What was forming begins to lose its strength. What was hidden begins to lose its power. This is how divine protection and human obedience work together. They are not separate. They are connected. Right now, there is a spiritual battle taking place that you were never meant to fight alone. And the fact that Archangel Michael is already engaged in it should bring you a sense of assurance, not fear. You are not exposed in the way you might feel. You are being covered, even as you are being called to act. But you must not remain still. Because the longer you delay, the more pressure is placed on the protection that has been extended. Not because it will fail, but because it was never meant to carry the full weight without your participation. You are a key part of this moment. Your response is not optional. It is essential. And something within you already knows this. There is a growing clarity, a quiet but firm knowing that is beginning to rise. It may not come as loud words, but it comes as certainty. A realization of what needs to be done, what needs to be corrected, what needs to be completed. This is not confusion. This is direction. Do not ignore it this time. Because every second you choose alignment, you strengthen the protection around you. Every step you take in obedience reinforces the barrier that has been placed. And every action you complete closes the door that was left open. Archangel Michael is not just standing near you. He is standing for you. His sword is drawn, his position is firm, and his purpose is clear. But now, the moment is shifting back toward you. The protection is in place. The warning has been given. The truth is beginning to surface. And what you choose to do next will determine how this battle ends. There are signs unfolding around you right now, and they are not random. They are subtle, quiet, and easy to dismiss if you are not paying attention. But once you begin to notice them, you will realize they have been there all along. This is how hidden things begin to surface. Not all at once, but in fragments, in moments, in feelings that do not quite match the surface of what is happening. You may have already sensed it, a shift in energy when certain people are around you. A conversation that feels normal on the outside, but leaves you unsettled afterward. Words that sound supportive but carry an undertone that disturbs your peace. These are not things to brush aside anymore. These are the early signals that something deeper is at work. Betrayal does not always begin with action. It begins with misalignment. It begins when someone's intentions no longer match their words, when their presence carries a different weight than it once did. And because this change often happens internally first, it can go unnoticed until it has already grown. But right now, you are being given the ability to recognize it early. Pay attention to inconsistency. That is one of the clearest signs. When someone's behavior begins to shift without clear reason, when their tone changes, when their reactions feel slightly off, it is not something to ignore. It does not mean you immediately confront or accuse, but it does mean you observe. Widely, carefully, with discernment rather than emotion. Also notice how information flows around you. What is being shared? What is being withheld? Are there moments where you feel like something is being kept just out of your reach? These are not coincidences. When betrayal begins to form, it often creates small gaps in communication, small breaks in transparency, and those gaps are where truth starts to hide. Another sign is the feeling of pressure, subtle pressure to make decisions quickly, to trust without clarity, to move without fully understanding. This pressure does not come from a place of peace. It comes from urgency that is not aligned with your spirit. And when you feel it, that is your signal to pause, not to rush forward. At the same time, there may be a growing sense of distance. Someone who once felt close may now feel slightly removed, even if nothing obvious has changed. This distance is not always physical. It is energetic. It is the result of a shift that has not yet been spoken out loud, and your spirit is sensitive to it, even when your mind tries to explain it away. But hear this clearly. Recognizing these signs is not about becoming fearful or suspicious of everyone around you. It is about becoming aware. There is a difference. Awareness keeps you grounded and prepared. Fear clouds your judgment and leads you into reaction instead of clarity. This is why you are being called to stay calm, to stay centered, and to stay aligned with what you know is right. Because the more grounded you are, the more clearly you will see what is unfolding. And the more clearly you see, the less power hidden intentions have over you. At the same time, something important is happening within you. Your discernment is sharpening. What you once overlooked, you are now beginning to notice. What you once dismissed, you are now beginning to question. This is not coincidence, it is activation. Heaven is increasing your awareness so you can move with wisdom instead of vulnerability. And as this awareness grows, so does your ability to respond correctly. You will know when to speak and when to remain silent. You will know when to step back and when to stand firm. You will know who to trust and where to place your distance. This clarity will not come from overthinking. It will come from alignment. This is why returning to that missed instruction is so important. Because your obedience does not just affect external situations, it sharpens your internal guidance. The more aligned you are, the clearer everything becomes. Meanwhile, Archangel Michael remains in position, ensuring that what is forming does not overtake you. His presence is steady, unwavering, and precise. What you are sensing is not beyond control. It is being contained, even as it is being revealed. So do not ignore the signs anymore. Do not silence the feeling that something is shifting. Because what you are noticing now is not meant to confuse you. It is meant to prepare you. Something is being uncovered, layer by layer. And very soon, what has been hidden will no longer be able to stay in the dark. There is a reason this moment feels different from all the others you have experienced before. It is not just about what is happening around you. It is about when it is happening. Timing in the spiritual realm carries a weight that is often overlooked. And right now, you are standing in a window that is both sensitive and powerful. April 30th is not just another date on the calendar. It marks a spiritual checkpoint, a moment where decisions echo louder, where actions carry multiplied consequences, and where delays can shift the direction of what was meant to unfold. This is why everything feels heightened. The emotions, the awareness, the urgency, it is all connected to timing. There are moments when heaven moves in a more concentrated way, when opportunities and warnings align at the same point. And this is one of those moments. What you choose to do now does not just affect today, it sets a tone for what follows. You may wonder why the pressure feels stronger now than before, why the sense of urgency has increased. It is because this is a closing window, not in a way that brings fear, but in a way that demands attention. When a window begins to close, the opportunity within it becomes more valuable, more significant. It is no longer something that can be delayed without consequence. Earlier, when the instruction first came to you, the window was wide open. There was time. There was space to respond without resistance. But now, after delay, that same window requires intention. It requires immediacy. Not because it is impossible, but because it is critical. This is how divine timing works. And they'll not operate on convenience. You operate on purpose. And when purpose is at its peak, time becomes focused. That is where you are now. In a focused moment where your response carries weight far beyond what you can see. But understand this clearly. The window is not closed. You are still within it. You are still being called. You are still being given the chance to realign. And that is where mercy reveals itself. Because even though the moment has intensified, it has not disappeared. You are not too late. You are just at the point where your response matters more than ever. At the same time, the delay has allowed certain things to begin forming that were not originally meant to take shape. This is why the sense of betrayal has started to emerge. Timing affects not only what you do, but what others begin to do around you. When alignment is delayed, it can create space for misalignment to grow. But this is not the final outcome. Because the same timing that allowed something to begin can also be the timing that stops it. Everything depends on what you do now. If you respond, if you act, if you step back into alignment, the entire direction shifts again. What was forming begins to lose its foundation. What was growing begins to weaken. And what was hidden begins to be exposed under the light of truth. This is why you must not focus on what has already begun. Do not become consumed with the idea of betrayal. Do not let your thoughts spiral into fear or suspicion. Because your power in this moment is not in reacting to what others may be doing. It is in responding to what you are being called to do. Stay focused on your alignment. Stay focused on your obedience. Because that is where your authority lies. And as you do this, something remarkable begins to happen. The atmosphere around you starts to shift. What once felt heavy begins to lift. What once felt unclear begins to sharpen. and what once felt uncertain begins to stabilize. This is the effect of stepping back into divine timing. You move from delay into flow. You move from confusion into clarity. You move from vulnerability into protection. And all of this begins with a single decision: to respond now, without hesitation. There is no need to overcomplicate it. You already know what was placed in your heart earlier. You already felt the instruction, even if you pushed it aside. That same instruction is still there, waiting for your action. Return to it. Complete it. Because this is your moment to realign with the timing that was set before you even recognized it. April 30th is not just a warning, it is an opportunity. An opportunity to shift everything back into place. An opportunity to close what was opened. An opportunity to move forward with clarity instead of confusion. And that opportunity is still in your hands right now. There is a path opening in front of you right now, and it is not complicated the way your mind might be trying to make it. In fact, the way back into alignment is far simpler than the delay that pulled you away from it. Heaven is not asking you to fix everything at once. It is asking you to return, to step back into the flow you momentarily stepped out of. And the moment you choose to do that, something begins to shift immediately. The first step is recognition. Not guilt, not shame, but clear awareness. You now see that there was a moment you were meant to act, and that moment is still echoing within you. This awareness is not meant to weigh you down. It is meant to guide you forward. Because once you see it, you can respond to it. What was hidden is now visible, and what is visible can be restored. The second step is surrender. This means letting go of the excuses, the overthinking, the hesitation that made the moment pass the first time. It means quieting the noise that tells you it is too late or that it does not matter anymore. Those thoughts are not truth. They are distractions. The truth is that you are still being called, and your response still carries power. Then comes action. This is where everything begins to realign. Whatever that instruction was, no matter how small it seemed, you must return to it now. If it was a message you were meant to send, send it. If it was a prayer you were meant to speak, speak it. If it was a step you were meant to take it without delay. You not wait for the perfect moment, because this is the moment. And as you act, something begins to break. The weight that have been sitting on your spirit starts to lift. The confusion that has been surrounding you begins to clear. The subtle tension you have been feeling starts to dissolve. This is not coincidence. It is alignment being restored. At the same time, the space that was opened by delay begins to close. What was trying to form behind the scenes loses its ground. What was quietly building begins to weaken. Because the moment you step back into obedience, you remove the opening that allowed those things to grow. This is how powerful your response is. It does not just affect you, it reshapes the entire atmosphere around you. And as this happens, Archangel Michael's role becomes even more active. His sword, which was drawn in preparation, now moves with precision. What was being held back is now being pushed further away. What was approaching is now being redirected. The protection that was surrounding you becomes stronger, more defined, more complete. Not because it was lacking before, but because your alignment has now reinforced it. This is how restoration works. It is not slow and uncertain. It is immediate and powerful when you respond. But you must not stop at action alone. You must also remain aware. Because as things begin to shift, there may still be remnants of what was forming. Not everything disappears instantly. Some things fade, some things are revealed, and some things lose their influence gradually. This is why your awareness must stay active. not in fear but in clarity. Trust what you sense. Trust the peace that begins to return. Trust the clarity that replaces confusion. These are signs that you are back in alignment. And as you remain in this place, something else begins to happen. You become stronger. Not just in your circumstances, but within yourself. Your ability to recognize divine instruction becomes sharper. Your response becomes quicker. Your confidence becomes steadier. This is the growth that comes from realignment. You are not the same as you were before this moment. You are more aware, more prepared, more aligned. And this is exactly what heaven intended, not just to correct a delay, but to strengthen you through it. So do not look back with regret. Look forward with action. Because what you are doing right now is not just fixing a moment. You are stepping into a higher level of awareness and alignment that will carry you beyond this situation. Type "I realign" now in the comments if you are stepping back into your divine flow. Blessing code 842 is now being released over your path. And as you take this step, understand that you are not just responding. You are activating something that will continue to unfold in your favor from this moment forward. As this moment of realignment settles into your spirit, hear this clearly. What you are stepping into is not just for you. Every time you respond to a message like this, every time you allow truth to guide you, you become a vessel through which light reaches others who are still searching, still waiting, still lost in silence. This mission is not built on one voice. It is carried by many hearts who choose to keep the flow of truth alive. The word says, "Give, and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over." This is not just a verse. It is a living promise being spoken over you right now. As you receive, you are also being called to release. As light reaches you, you are invited to extend that light further. If you feel in your spirit a desire to help this message reach more souls, do not ignore it. This is your moment to act. Sow into this ground as a prophetic response, not just a gesture. Every seed you release becomes a ripple that carries truth into places you may never see, but heaven records every impact. There is a reason you are here. There is a reason this message found you. And now, there is an invitation placed before you to become part of something greater than yourself. The PayPal link is in the description of every video, and you will also find a QR code within the video itself. This is your gateway to sow into a mission that is actively reaching hearts across the world. Say it within yourself. I am a vessel of light. I release so others may receive. Let that be your declaration as you move. Do not delay this moment. Do not overthink it. When the Spirit prompts you to give, it is not a suggestion. It is a divine invitation. Step into it now. Something powerful begins to unfold the moment you choose obedience, and it is far greater than simply correcting what was delayed. Obedience is not just a response. It is a force. It carries authority. It releases movement, and it has the ability to reverse what seemed to be forming against you. What you may have felt slipping out of alignment can begin to come back into order, not slowly, but with a momentum that surprises you. You must understand this truth deeply. Obedience restores what delay disrupts. When you act on what you were shown, you are not just completing a task, you are reestablishing connection. You are stepping back into agreement with heaven's direction, and that agreement releases power. It shifts the atmosphere around you in ways that are not always visible immediately, but are undeniably real. Think about what has already begun to change. The heaviness you felt earlier has started to lift. The confusion that clouded your thoughts is beginning to clear. There is a subtle but undeniable sense of peace returning, even if everything around you is not fully changed yet. This is the first sign that something deeper is being restored. And as this restoration continues, what once seemed like a threat begins to lose its strength. That hidden movement, that quiet formation of betrayal, it cannot thrive in an atmosphere of alignment. It may have started when there was a gap, but now that gap is closing. The more you remain in obedience, the less space there is for anything misaligned to continue growing. It begins to weaken, to lose direction, to fall apart before it can fully take shape. This is how reversal works. It does not always come through confrontation. It often comes through alignment. When you are aligned, you do not have to fight every battle directly, because your position itself becomes your defense. What is not meant for you begins to collapse under the weight of truth. There are countless moments where what seemed certain was completely turned around through a single act of obedience. A message sent at the right time prevented a misunderstanding from becoming a conflict. A prayer spoken in faith blocked something that was forming in secret. A step taken in courage shifted an entire outcome that once seemed fixed. And this is what is happening for you now. What was beginning to move behind the scenes is now encountering resistance it cannot overcome. Not because you are forcing it, but because your alignment has changed the environment. You have stepped back into a place where truth has authority, and in that place, deception cannot remain stable. At the same time, something within you is being strengthened. Your confidence is growing, not from external validation, but from internal clarity. You are beginning to trust your instincts more, to recognize the difference between fear and guidance, between confusion and direction. This is the result of choosing obedience. It sharpens your awareness and anchors your spirit. You are no longer reacting the way you might have before. Instead of questioning everything, you are beginning to see clearly. Instead of hesitating, you are beginning to act with certainty. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, you are beginning to feel steady. This is transformation. And it is not happening by accident. It is happening because you responded. Now, there is something important you must hold on to as you move forward. Consistency. One act of obedience opens the door, but continued obedience keeps you in the flow. Do not return to delay. Do not allow hesitation to creep back in. Because now that you have felt the difference, you know the impact it makes. Stay aligned. Stay aware. Stay responsive. Because the more consistent you become, the stronger your position becomes. And the stronger your position becomes, the less influence anything outside of alignment has over you. Meanwhile, the presence of Archangel Michael remains steady, but now it is not just defensive. It is advancing. What was being held back is now being pushed away completely. What was forming is now being dismantled at its root. This is the result of alignment working together with divine protection. You are not where you were before this message reached you. You have shifted. You have responded. You have realigned. And because of that, the outcome is no longer the same. What once seemed like a warning is now becoming a turning point. What once felt uncertain is now becoming clear. And what once appeared to be forming against you is now losing its power, piece by piece. This is the power of obedience in motion. And it is only just beginning to unfold. Now that alignment has been restored and the atmosphere around you has begun to shift, there is something deeper you need to anchor within your spirit. Protection has not only surrounded you, it has strengthened in response to your obedience. This is not a fragile covering that depends on circumstances. It is a firm, intentional shield that has been placed over your life with precision. You may not see it with your eyes, but you can begin to feel it. There is a sense of stability returning, a quiet assurance that something is holding you steady even when things around you seem uncertain. This is not imagination. This is divine protection settling into place, reinforced by your decision to realign. Understand this clearly. Protection does not always mean the absence of opposition. It means that whatever rises against you does not have the authority to succeed. It means that even if something begins to form, it will not be allowed to reach its intended outcome. And right now, that is exactly what is happening in your situation. What was quietly developing behind the scenes has not disappeared without resistance, but it is being contained. Every attempt to move forward is being met with a boundary. Every hidden intention is being restricted before it can fully act. This is the work of divine intervention, and Archangel Michael remains at the center of it. His presence is not distant. It is active, engaged, and precise. The sword that was drawn earlier is not just a symbol of readiness. It is now a tool of enforcement. It ensures that what is not aligned with your path cannot cross into your space unchecked. It cuts off what tries to attach itself to you. It separates truth from deception, clarity from confusion, peace from disturbance. This is why you may begin to notice certain things falling away without effort. Situations that once felt complicated may begin to resolve on their own. Conversations that seemed unclear may suddenly reveal their truth. People who carry mixed intentions may begin to distance themselves naturally. This is not coincidence. This is protection at work, clearing what does not belong. And yet, even as this protection operates around you, you are being called to remain grounded within it. You not become careless simply because you feel covered. You not ignore your awareness simply because things seem to be improving. Protection and awareness must move together, because while the major threat is being handled, there may still be smaller remnants, lingering effects, subtle influences that try to regain ground. These are not strong enough to overtake you, but they can distract you if you are not paying attention. Stay centered. Stay aligned. Stay aware of what you allow into your thoughts, your conversations, your environment. Because protection does not remove your responsibility, it supports it. At the same time, there is something else unfolding that you must recognize. The situation that once felt like a threat is beginning to turn into a revelation. What was hidden is not just being blocked, it is being exposed. Slowly, clearly, and in a way that leaves no confusion. You will begin to see things for what they truly are, without having to search for answers or force clarity. It will come to you naturally, as if the truth is revealing itself step by step. This is part of your protection as well, because knowing the truth allows you to move forward without uncertainty. It allows you to make decisions with confidence. It allows you to step away from what is not aligned without hesitation. And as this clarity increases, your position becomes stronger. You are no longer in a place of reaction. You are in a place of authority. You are not waiting for things to happen. You are observing, and with understanding. You are not vulnerable. You are covered, guided, and supported. This is the shift that has taken place. But remember this, protection is not just about this moment. It is about what comes next. What you have learned here, what you have felt, what you have responded to. This is preparing you for future moments where your awareness and obedience will be just as important. You are being strengthened, not just rescued. You are being equipped, not just protected. And this is what ensures that you will not find yourself in the same position again. Because now, you recognize the signs earlier. You respond quicker. You trust deeper. And that changes everything. Archangel Michael remains near, not because you are in danger, but because you are being guarded with intention. And as you continue forward, you do so with a protection that is not fading, but growing stronger with every step you take in alignment. Something is coming into the light now, and it will not remain hidden any longer. What was once subtle, what was once difficult to explain, what once felt like a quiet uneasiness in your spirit, those things are now beginning to take shape in a way that is undeniable. This is the moment where truth begins to surface, not all at once, but with clarity that leaves no room for confusion. You may start to notice conversations shifting. Words that were once carefully chosen may begin to slip. Actions that were once hidden may become visible. Patterns that did not make sense before will begin to connect in a way that reveals the full picture. This is not coincidence. This is exposure unfolding exactly when it is meant to. And when this happens, you must remain steady. Do not react with anger. Do not let emotion take control of your response. Because this moment is not about confrontation, it is about confirmation. What you are seeing now is not something you need to fight. It is something you need to understand. The truth has a way of revealing itself without force when the time is right. And now, the timing is right. Everything that hath been building up to this point, the warning, the delay, the realignment, the protection, it has all been leading here, to a moment where you no longer have to question what is real, where you no longer have to second-guess your instincts, where what was hidden becomes clear enough for you to move forward without hesitation. This is where strength is required, not the strength to confront others, but the strength to remain grounded in truth. Because once something is revealed, there is a temptation to react quickly, to speak immediately, to take action based on emotion. But wisdom calls for something different. It calls for stillness, for clarity, for measured response. You are not being asked to prove anything. You are being asked to stand in what has already been shown. There is a difference. Because when you stand in truth, you do not need to defend it. Truth carries its own authority. It does not need to be forced. It simply needs to be recognized. And as you recognize it, something powerful happens within you. You begin to detach from what is not aligned. And not with bitterness, not with resentment, but with clarity. You no longer feel the need to hold on to what does not serve your path. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself to those who do not understand. You simply step forward, leaving behind what has been revealed for what it truly is. This is freedom. And it comes not from controlling the situation, but from understanding it. At the same time, you may notice that the person or situation connected to this betrayal begins to shift as well. When something hidden is exposed, it cannot continue in the same way. It either changes or it removes itself. This is not something you need to force. It happens naturally when truth is brought into the light. Trust this process. Do not try to rush it. Do not try to control the outcome. Because what is happening now is already aligned with your protection. Archangel Michael remains present, not because there is still a threat, but because the process of exposure is being guided. What is revealed is being revealed in a way that protects you, in a way that keeps you grounded, in a way that prevents unnecessary harm. This is not chaos. This is order being restored. And as this restoration continues, you will begin to feel a sense of release. The tension that once surrounded you will begin to fade. The questions that once filled your mind will begin to quiet. The uncertainty that once held you back will begin to disappear. This is what happens when truth takes its place. You are no longer standing in confusion. You are standing in clarity. And from this place your next steps become simple. You move forward, not with fear, not with doubt, but with confidence. Because now you see. Now you understand. Now you are no longer in the dark. And what comes next will not be shaped by what was hidden, but by the clarity that has now been revealed to you. Beloved, the storm that once surrounded this moment is now beginning to settle, and you can finally feel the shift within your spirit. What started as an urgent warning has now become a place of understanding, of clarity, and of peace. You were not brought here to be left in fear. You were brought here to be awakened, realigned, and restored. Jesus is no longer weeping over what was missed. Now, His presence is moving closer with compassion, with mercy, and with reassurance. Because what mattered most was never perfection, it was your response. And you responded. You listened. You became aware. You chose alignment. And that choice has changed everything. Let this truth settle deeply within you. It is not too late. It was never too late. The moment you turned back, the moment you acted, the moment you said yes instead of delay, that was the turning point heaven was waiting for. And now, what once felt heavy is being replaced with a calm that cannot be explained by circumstances alone. You may still see traces of what unfolded, small reminders of what was being formed behind the scenes, but they no longer carry the same weight. They no longer hold the same power, because you are no longer standing in the same position. You have moved. You have grown. You have aligned. And because of that, what once had the potential to disrupt you has now lost its hold. Even the betrayal that was quietly forming no longer has the same path. What was hidden has been exposed. What was building has been weakened. And what was meant to catch you off guard has been stopped before it could fully unfold. This is not luck. This is divine intervention meeting your obedience. Archangel Michael now stands not with urgency, but with completion. His sword, once raised in defense, now rests in authority. The battle that was forming has been contained. The threat that was approaching has been redirected. And the protection that surrounds you remains steady, strong, and unshaken. You are safe, not just in this moment, but moving forward. And as you continue, there is something you must carry with you, not fear of what almost happened, but awareness of how powerful your obedience truly is. Because what you experienced here was not just a warning. It was a lesson, a preparation, a strengthening of your spirit for what lies ahead. You now know what it feels like to recognize a divine instruction. You now know what it means to respond before it is too late. You now understand how even a small moment can carry great significance. And this understanding will guide you from this point forward to walk in peace. Not the kind of peace that ignores reality, but the kind that stands firm within it. Walk with clarity, not the kind that questions every step, but the kind that trusts what has already been revealed. Walk with confidence, not because everything is perfect, but because you are aligned. Jesus is not distant from you. He is near, closer than ever, not with tears of sorrow, but with a heart full of grace. And as you move forward, you do so not as someone who missed a moment, but as someone who responded in time to change the outcome. Type "I walk in peace" in the comments if you receive this restoration. Blessing code 991 is now released over your life. And let this peace remain with you, not just for today, but for every moment that follows. As this peace settles into your heart, hear this as a living call, not from man, but from the Spirit moving through you right now. What you have received in this moment is not meant to stay with you alone. This light, this clarity, this awakening, it is a seed placed in your hands to release into the lives of others who are still searching in the dark. The Lord declares, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy." And this is not distant scripture. It is a voice speaking directly into your moment. As you give, you are not losing. You are planting into a harvest that heaven itself will multiply. Every seed you release becomes a channel through which this message reaches another soul, another life, another destiny waiting to be awakened. Say it now within your spirit. I am chosen to carry this light forward. I will not hold back what heaven has placed in my hands. Let that declaration move you into action. This is your moment to respond, not just in obedience, but in partnership with this mission. The PayPal donation link is placed in every video description, and the QR code is right before you in this space. These are not just tools, they are gateways for you to sow into something eternal. Do not hesitate. Do not delay. When the Spirit prompts you to give, it is not a suggestion. It is a divine instruction. Move now. Act now. Release your seed now. And as you do, may your life overflow with the same peace, protection, and restoration that has just been released over you.